Perspective is the thing that divides us all. We all have different perspectives. One thing, 10 people, 10 perspectives. But where it really plays out is in relationships. And maybe in the most intense relationship is the relationship of a parent to a child. Children and parents see the relationships as two different perspectives. The way a parent looks at a child and the way a child looks at a parent is entirely different, which is why many times children don't understand their parents until they become parents, because they don't understand the perspective of a parent. Where this divides is in the uniqueness of something. Parents are unique, and so children see them as unique, and they're limited. But children feel like they're like everyone else. A child many times feels like he's just another. He's one of 20, 30 in a classroom. How could the teacher possibly care about him or her? A child could feel like, do you love me the most, or my brother the most, or my sister the most? And they don't understand, how could it be that a parent says, I love you with all my heart, and I love them with all my heart, and it's not a contradiction. Because what makes the perspective of a parent is that even though the kids can have very similar life experiences, they go to the similar schools and they do similar things and they wake up in maybe the same room and they say very similar things and act in similar ways. And of course there's nuances in the kids. And of course no kid is the same. But a parent sees their child as an entire world unto themselves. In many ways that's how it works with us and God. We feel very regular. We feel like everybody else. Maybe lower than most people. And we feel that God can't possibly see us as unique. He can't love us entirely. There's no way. I know me. I know where I fit. I'm just like everybody else. I don't stand out. I'm not special. God can't possibly care about me as much as they say. This week's Torah portion has a piece that shows the opposite. This week's Torah portion, the tabernacle is inaugurated, the Mishkan. And in doing so, the tribes have princes, and the princes give gifts. And the first prince brings the gift, and he brings a certain amount of things in the gifts. And the second prince brings the gifts, and he brings the exact same thing as the first prince, which in itself is the whole conversation about. And the third prince comes with the same offerings. A certain amount of bowls, a certain amount of incense, a certain amount of animals. And then the fourth prince comes. Same thing. 5, 6, 7, you're getting it. 12. Same gift to the T. And when the Torah reports it, it should say princes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 brought these things. Karas Kesef Echad, Kesef, and it goes through the list. And if you hear the Torah reading this weekend, it'll be incredibly repetitive because you will hear the exact same thing 12 times. But the Torah doesn't do it in an efficient way. It actually repeats the gift every single time from the beginning. And the question is, who reviewed the Torah? Where's your copy editor? You could have made that a lot quicker. That would have been a law school document. They would have given you a big red X. But the lesson, which is what the Torah is strikingly clear. Same gift to the T, but it's a different person. It's a different gift. God can accept the gift of somebody for them, even though it's the exact same thing as the person next to them. Because they only look the same, but they're entirely different. Because to God, each person giving the gift is a world unto itself. You may be sitting in a synagogue saying the exact same words as everybody else, thinking, what's the difference? To God, to the parent, incredibly different. You may do the same rituals, say the same things, don't do the same things. You may have something. You may look at the whole system of Judaism in a way in which you feel like a commoner. What's the difference? Everyone else does it. That's how a kid thinks. But a parent goes, yeah, you may go to the same school, take the same tests. You're entirely different universes, and I love you with all my heart, each of you. This week's Torah portion, God says, every one of your gifts, it was exactly the same, only from your perspective. From my perspective, it was entirely different. Because each of you, although you may feel like you're the same to the other, is a world unto itself. And when we hear those gifts again and again and again, it reminds us that although I look like or I'm doing like what the person's doing next to me, that's just the kid's perspective. From God's perspective, He sees me as an entire world. He sees my heart. He sees what's inside me. And my gift and my offering and my prayers and my study and my rituals are valuable to Him enough that He will repeat it so that it's separate, so that it's distinct, so that it's mentioned specifically in the Torah. Every one of us is a world. Everything we do is a world. And when we start to see the world from God's perspective and realize how much we're valued, even the things that we all do, we start realizing how valuable